Hi, this is Brooke Welch, medium, energy healer, and spiritual life coach. Today I want to make a video on mediumship. I've been a medium since I was a small child, and I want to explain a little bit about what that means and how I can share the gifts of mediumship with the world. So let's start with, what is a medium? A medium is somebody who can tune in to the frequency of a soul. So that could be a soul that is alive in a human body or a soul that's passed on. So that's why a medium can communicate frequently with the dead. I often get the question, does that mean you're psychic? Yes, I have very intuitive capabilities. So I think all mediums are psychic, but I don't think all psychics are mediums. So somebody can be very intuitive and not be able to tune into loved ones who have passed away, if that makes sense. So there are different types of ways to interpret mediumship. So the psychic senses are clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience. There's a lot of them. And that's just how you process and feel energy. I've noticed that over time with my practice, the more I've leaned into one, so let's say I lean into clairvoyance, which is psychic seeing, the more the other ones have become strong and apparent. I always tell, when I take students, that if you're working with your intuition, it's like a muscle. So if you work with your leg muscles and you start really working out your hamstrings, well, your quadriceps and your calves are going to get stronger too. So that's kind of how the clairs work. I'll explain them a bit. So clairvoyance is what we think of when we think of a psychic that sees the future and sees it as images. So it's psychic seeing, and it's literally interpreting messages through seeing it in your mind's eye or your third eye. When I'm talking to spirits, some spirits do show me images. So they won't be speaking to me auditorily, I won't hear a voice. They'll just keep showing me an apple or their chest, and that can indicate something that they were closely, they really were connected with when they were alive, or oftentimes they'll show the body part or how they passed away. Next would be clairaudient. That is psychic hearing. And this is where you physically hear the spirit or hear the energy, the way that you would hear a person having a conversation. I often get souls that speak to me this way too. And they're often very matter of fact, and you'll hear their voice as if they were alive. I don't think everybody can hear it, because you do have to have the psychic gift of clairaudience or be open to tuning in to that frequency. Next is clairsentience, which is psychic feeling. So sometimes if I'm feeling a spirit, I will just feel oh, there's a spirit in this room. I'm just hyper aware of it. I feel it in my body. It's a feeling. And then usually I'll open up to the other one. I'll be okay, a spirit's here. Do you have anything you want to tell me or anything you want to show me? And then that's when they'll either start speaking or showing images. There is also psychic smelling. I often do smell souls. Oftentimes it's the negative spirit. So if somebody has a demonic attachment or something that is an energy parasite on them, they will have a scent about them. And that tells you that they need a spiritual cleanse or that something is siphoning their energy. Then there's claircognizance, which is just psychic knowing. I just know that there's a spirit in here, and then you want to tune into the frequency of either clairaudience or clairvoyance so that you can get the message. So there's many ways to interpret the spirit world. And spirits often speak through signs. I've seen so many spirits come in and tell me, I've been sending my loved one signs and they're missing it. One of the most common questions people ask me is oh, my grandma or my mom passed away, and in the beginning I really saw them in my dreams, and now I'm not seeing them. And the reason that is because it's very hard for a spirit to reach you in the dream state. If they're reaching you in that place, know that it took a lot of energy for them, and they've been trying to get to you in subtle ways before that. So it's kind of a last resort. They also do that often when they first pass away to show you that they're okay. So once they've gone to the light, they will come to you in dreams, but then you won't often get a lot of dreams after that, unless you're not getting their messages. But much subtler messages that are easier for them to give you are, they love technology. So spirits will often change the radio station or, flicker on a laptop or an Alexa and make it play. They also like to flicker lights because that'll get you to notice. They like ice machines on the fridge. Things like that, where it's easy for them to manipulate energy, because remember, they are energy. Most spirits do not like to scare you, so they're not going to do it in a way that's going to traumatize you or make you feel unsafe if they're your loved ones. Now, that doesn't mean there's not negative spirits out there that will cause some sort of chaos in your life. Where was I going? So what was that? Well, let's go over the process of a soul. When somebody passes away, there is a process that their soul goes through. So they will die. It takes them a minute to get to the light or to realize that they've passed on. And then they go through what I call a soul reveal or a resting process. So they will get to see everybody in their life that they impacted, whether that's positive or negative. They'll get an understanding of the lessons that they were supposed to receive and the lessons that they missed. And then they'll get to decide, like, okay, am I going to come back soon to learn those lessons, or am I going to rest for a long time and wait for my loved ones to pass away too and reincarnate all together, like in a cluster of souls? So there's a few options, but I always like tell people, I need the loved one who you're trying to reach, if you're trying to do a mediumship session, to be gone for at least 90 days, because that ensures that their soul gets to pass on, go to the light, and rest. Because if they don't get that time, which is so sacred to the soul, they can get stuck. And that's when you'll have somebody who is not just a spirit, but a ghost that is stuck somewhere. So like if a house is haunted, it's a spirit that hasn't gone to the light. And so the soul is lingering and stuck in the in-between. And it's just not a happy place to be. So I recommend, if you're ever seeking out mediumship for a loved one who's passed away, wait at least 90 days. Even longer for somebody who's committed suicide or murdered, because oftentimes they have a longer resting phase. I also, from talking to so many souls who have passed away, they don't show heaven and hell the way maybe we're described it. They are usually very happy where they are. They're in a new frequency or a location, and they feel good. Now, what I do know, though, is that they can't learn anymore until they take on a body, because we learn through our outer senses. So touch, taste, smell, our experiences, that is usually where we're learning. And so a lot of souls will often speak of like missing the scent of something, or missing being able to give a hug or affection in that way. Now, our loved ones who pass away do love us, do miss us, and they spend a lot of time around us. Oftentimes, especially if somebody dies early in a family, like young for their lifetime, they agree to pass on because the family needs more angelic help. And so they're willing to, leave so that they could be of service in the spiritual realm for the family. So talk to your loved ones who have passed away. I have also seen souls that are about to be born, or new babies, like loved ones who have passed away will be with that baby, getting them ready to come to earth. And it's so beautiful. They'll often send messages of like the baby's personality and how that baby wants to be treated, or like what sports they want to be in as they grow up, or what experiences they need from their parents. So I actually love doing channeling when somebody's pregnant because there's usually a message about the new soul that's about to come in. That's quite beautiful and sweet that our loved ones are up there watching over our loved ones that are to come down. Other signs, I didn't go over the signs that they send. So souls will send things like feathers. I often see money or change. Songs, they love music. Animals. A lot of times people will be like, oh, my mom passed away and I always see her in butterflies. It doesn't necessarily mean your mom's the butterfly, but her spirit is sending the butterfly to send you the message, or sending the hummingbird. So it can be quite beautiful. And oftentimes if you're really, really missing a loved one who's passed away, you can say out loud or in your head, like, Grandma, I really miss you. Send me a sign or a message that I have your divine support, and they will send it. A lot of times it really comes to you when you're completely present, though. So ask for it and then slow down so that you can receive that message. Something that souls don't like that I've seen, they do not like when they pass away, if their loved ones are stuck fighting over money or belongings. That often pulls on the soul's heart, and I guess not physical heart, but the heart energy, and makes them feel conflicted. I've seen souls be like, oh, I regret, working so hard and leaving a lot of money because now it's tearing my family apart. So be mindful of that. Like, they really don't want to leave chaos for people. Like, they want to leave in good faith and fortune. Another thing I've seen that they don't like is if they've passed on and you call them back a lot, so you do a lot of mediumship sessions to ask them questions about decisions, it's really unfair to the soul because they're not there to live your life for you. So be mindful of that, and just know, like, if they're resting, rest and start to trust yourself. Like, there's a reason they left. And so if you have to make decisions, do it with, the best intentions, and don't feel like you need their permission, because they're not attached to their ego. So they're not going to be happy, mad, or sad in the same way that they were when they were alive. So they're not watching you just like shaking their head. Like, they're usually much happier than what you would think of them as. A lot of them too, because they don't have an ego, will have apologies that maybe they couldn't reach when they were alive. So I've had lots of souls be like, hey, I recognize my wrongs, like tell them I'm sorry for this. And if that wasn't in their character when they were alive, that comes with part of their soul review for why they can apologize for that. But yeah, our loved ones who pass away are with us. They do love us. And we can receive messages from them if we ask. If you have any questions on mediumship, please leave them in the comments, and I would love to hear from you.